Yes, I'm actually going to add some public comment for people who've been very patient into this section in regard to parking. Go ahead.
My name is Heidi Marshall, and I'm the community manager for the Baden Apartments. And I'm accompanied today by 6 of my residents. You want to just raise your hand so they can identify you as residents here? And I just wanted to talk to you a little bit today about the new law that's been put in place regarding parking and how this is affecting my residents, because I think sometimes well-intentioned plans may be put in place and we don't realize how it's actually affecting people on the ground. So I just wanted to share some information with you. The new law states that there is no parking allowed Monday, Wednesday, and Friday between the hours of 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. in the parking lot that is just behind our building, which is where the residents have parked the whole time they've lived there. So that's the closest lot to their home. The next closest lot is behind Transitional Living Services, and that lot is posted no parking Tuesdays, Thursdays, Saturdays, same hours, 3 to 6 a.m. So my residents are being challenged to remember to move their vehicles every night from one lot to the next, one lot to the next. They're being physically challenged as well, as many of them are not fully ambulatory and have difficulty traversing the steep incline from the far lot to their home. The Bateman, if you're not aware, is a low-income affordable housing unit. Many of my residents are physically and/or mentally handicapped and reside here as they do not have the means and/or physical ability to care for a home of their own. You may not be aware of the impact on my residents, and I share the following information with you. At the Bateman, we have 24 apartments, 34 residents, 3 residents that walk with a cane, 4 that use a walker, 2 that must transport oxygen tanks, 1 that uses a power chair, 4 small children, and 12 elderly. I understand the reason behind the new parking law is the need for improving the ability to conduct snow removal more effectively. And may I point out that in making things more convenient for one person to conduct snow removal more efficiently, we have negatively impacted 34 others. I ask you to consider the following as an alternative option to the current law in place. I would ask that you would consider splitting the parking lot that is directly behind the Bateman Apartments in half and allowing for, say, the left side to be Monday, Wednesday, Friday, and the right side to be Tuesday, Thursday, Saturday. In doing this, you would make it easier for the residents to access their home and also allow for effective snow removal, because you'd only be using one side of the parking lot. Similarly to the way we have split the parking lot over by the movie theater, that one is left side, right side every other night. So I would just offer that to you as a suggestion, and thank you for letting me have time to talk about it.
Thank you for your patience. No, I was just going to tell her thank you for your patience, everyone.
Do you think that's going to solve the problem? Don't they still have to move their vehicles?
They will, but their vehicles, you're talking about the difference between moving your vehicles 20 feet versus 200 feet.
I got you. I got you.
You know, yes. So it is still going to be a challenge,
Oh, yeah.
but I think it would definitely be a lot easier.
Okay, I got you.
So,
Thanks.
We only have 10 vehicles, so they would fit in 2 rows.
What you're mentioning and what you're discussing is definitely something that could be done. You create these laws, like you said, with the best intentions, and so what we have found is where we have restricted people to park, people have found a slice of property that there's no good place to put a no parking sign. So they've jammed their cars into this spot.
Yes.
So that's where we move our snow. But
Yes.
now the cars are there.
Right.
So what you're asking is not unreasonable at all. I think the reason it's come to fruition now is because the PD has started to enforce it.
We're enforcing
Yes.
The law has actually been in effect since, I think, May.
I'll say it was in effect
That's
this
what
summer
Randy
to let
had.
people
It's-
kind of get used to it, read the
Yes.
signs.
Yes.
So the signs went up.
Yeah, and it's really hitting. I have some residents that have received about 11 tickets.
I guess my thought is this, yes, we're trying to make things better for you people out, for your the clientele back there. My office, I parked back there until we moved our office, and I found, matter of fact, I recognized a few of the people here, and those people to be very congenial, very well behaved, unlike prior years with the abatement. So, my thought is if we can do something we're trying to make it better for everybody. And it's tough to move snow with a car here and a car there.
Understand. Yes.
I'm hoping that maybe we can figure something out with Tom and work it out with the police department, because changing the law requires a public hearing, which we'll probably have to do, but in the meantime,
Right.
we need to do something, if we possibly can, to accommodate the residents
Thank you.
in your facility.
I appreciate it.
I say what the process would be to change that. And we can look at a map. Tom and I actually have looked at a map, and one of the other things that you would also discuss, to remind me, is the handicap parking. Remind me
Yes.
to bring that up before I end. We had looked at, we're hoping to get, did you say 16-foot bucket? Right?
The other intention of this was to purchase a large snow boom or snow scoop to put on the front of the loader so that we could go through and remove the snow much more efficiently and a lot faster. The issue with a large piece of equipment like that and trying to go down in between, down a 24-inch lane, you can imagine. So it only takes one car to be there, and the whole thing, falls apart. So the idea is to try to train people where to park and when to park there. And we know there's going to be pains and adverse effects. So we haven't yet received that or gotten that piece of equipment, but the parking area behind the abatement is strategic, or it takes a strategic plan to remove the snow because it is so steep.
Yes.
And once that 10-ton piece of equipment starts to slide,
Yeah.
it's not stopping. So that's the other reason. It's a safety concern. If there are people parked there and there are people getting in and out of their cars when they're doing that, somebody's going to get hurt or killed.
I'm hoping there won't be that many people out between 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. when we're doing the snow removal.
You would be
So,
surprised.
But that was one of the discussions that I had with Tom. We will look at this, and with maybe some of our DPW guys who plow the snow, and say, if we made this strip here, how would that affect? Is it possible to be done? Obviously, we did not do this to inconvenience
no.
anybody.
Absolutely.
We did it so that we could better care for that parking area, whether it's in the summertime with filling in holes and resealing cracks, or whether it's in the wintertime with snow removal, sanding, things like that.
Right.
The other thing too, because you had asked if there could be some handicap spots behind the abatement, that every handicap spot has a percentage of incline that is allowed that is too steep. That's why the ones that are over kind of next to the Masonic Temple
Yes,
there,
I know what you're talking about, because it's more a flat surface over there.
those are the ones that will have to be used, because when you start pitching down, we even looked at putting some, if you come in by the Historical Society, where the Office of the Aging is to the south side and the Historical Society building is right here, we looked at putting some right up front because
Right.
people were complaining that they didn't have a handicap spot. It was in the back, but Office of the Aging door is in the front.
Right.
That is too steep. We couldn't put any in there legally. So just so you know, I did also ask about that.
Okay.
But there are so many lovely regulations that we, and just also so you know, to actually change the law, we would have to decide what we wanted to change it to. At our next board meeting, let's say if it were to be changed, we would set up a public hearing that would happen a month from there, because we're actually changing our code in our village ordinance. So it's not something we can really legally do overnight. We really have a process that we have to go through. So minimum of 2 months. And then technically, is it until it's filed with the state?
Yeah, but it can be filed with the state very quickly.
Like a week or two.
Well, less.
Okay.
So, my $1,000,000 question is this. In the interim, is there anything that we can do to work out to relax it? Because by then the winter's going to be more than half over.
Well,
But then we can't
I
do snow removal.
the problem is the enforceability of the regulation. Without it being in your code book, you don't have the ability to enforce it. What you can enforce is what's in your code book.
Right.
Okay. So if you were to, decide that you're just not going to enforce that law for now, now you've got a real issue.
With any other parking ticket.
I beg to differ, though. There are certain vehicles that are being ticketed and certain ones that are not in the same vicinity. So it is being enforced in certain vehicles and not all others. And I really didn't want to discuss that realm, because that's not really what I'm trying to do, is get other people ticketed. Do you see what I'm saying? But I have videos of it where there are 6 cars out in the lot and plates are being run. Certain vehicles are being ticketed multiple times and other vehicles are not being ticketed at all in the same lot. So
In the same spot. Like
not the same spot,
But the same designated area.
same designated area, yes. So, and I have that on film twice.
And I don't doubt it.
That happening. Again, and that was not gonna be I didn't really wanna go that route, but I'm just saying, if we are choosing not to ticket others, can we choose not to ticket my residents for a little while until we can get this rectified?
That's the choice of the board. The problem, not trying to, lawyers are pessimistic people. We're always worried what's going to go wrong, right? Okay.
That's why we're having that.
But if you're going to say you're not going to enforce the parking regulations of that lot,
I'll bet you
then I'll bet Tom will have trouble following it.
So that opens a huge can of worms.
Here's my concern. My firm belief is that everybody should be treated the same. Many years ago, when I was the mayor, I almost got hung in effigy for insisting that the search and rescue be ticketed because they parked illegally. I don't believe in tickets being issued for one and not the other. I also do believe that there's going to be times when certain people are going to not be ticketed because there's not somebody around. I've had this discussion myself personally with Mr. Roby, because I've caught a couple of situations that I know that they should have been ticketed and weren't, or asked to move. So that discussion has been had with him. I'm concerned about what's happened here for your people, and I'm also concerned with what Mr. Gibo just said. If we don't enforce it, we're going to be throwing out every parking ticket until we say we're going to enforce it, because I don't care where people park within the village. I see the issue there. So, we've got a situation that I guess my thought is, do the best you can to work with us. We'll do the best we can to rectify the situation, and that's the best we can do right now.
If they wanna be in a certain spot and we pick out a spot that works for Tom, it's probably not legal, but if we own the lot, can we designate their parking only? Or no?
There's a Bateman parking only.
Right.
There's ways to do that. It's a little more complex, but there's some ways to do that. But you've got attention of residents who have some mobility or other issues that you want to deal with, and you have the tension of needing to be here with snow officials.
And being able to turn. There are some things, even if they plow down, they have to turn the equipment around and get it back out as part of the issue also.
My point is, though, if you say we're not going to enforce the regulations in this law, then you've taken away the ability potentially to be able to plow efficiently, because somebody who just says, I'm not going to get ticketed, I'll park wherever I want, is going to upset the whole scheme of plowing in the law, or could.
And anybody that gets a ticket. Because if I park there and I get a ticket, I'm gonna be mad.
Yeah.
Because the 10 people across the street or across the way didn't get a ticket.
Yeah.
But that's happening now.
That's it. Randy, while you were out, do you mind repeating that for Chief?
And Chief, I apologize, because I wasn't, my intention was not to come and
Discussing
complain about
parking
people
behind
that
the
were
abatement.
getting tickets versus people that weren't. But the issue came up about enforcing, trying to wait a couple of months and maybe not ticketing people until they could work out a new plan for the parking. And I had mentioned that it's happening now, that there are some people being ticketed versus other people that are not being ticketed within the same lot. So I had mentioned that. Again, it's not my wish to try to get other people ticketed. My request was, can we possibly look at not ticketing my people or my residents in that lot until we can get another solution worked out? And the mayor had said that would take 2 months to do because they'd have to have another meeting.
We'd have to set a public hearing
You have
and
to
change the
change
law.
Change the law, right?
Right, to be able to change the signs technically because it's in our code.
And he didn't hear my suggestion either of the change.
Right.
Which was to take the existing parking lot behind the abatement and split it in half. So that I think I talked to you about this too, didn't I?
I believe so, yes.
Okay, so that the 2 rows on the left, per
Alternate
se, alternate,
sides.
yes. So that they could still do snow removal, but the residents would be closer to where they live and able to, that hill is hard enough, for people like Carol to drag her oxygen tank up, and people that are using canes. It's a long way for them to go from back by TLS if they have to go over to that other lot. So that was just one of my suggested ways of meeting both the snow removal effectively and also helping my residents to be closer to where they live.
It's hard to breathe with oxygen on when it's real cold. To walk all the way down to the lot 2 and walk all the way back. And that hill is a killer, believe me. And that's my point. Why can't we resolve something so it'd make it easier for even the handicapped people,
Can you utilize the handicap parking spots? Do you have a sticker on your car?
Pardon me?
Do you have a handicap sticker on your car?
Yes.
Because
There are not a spot though that's,
No.
It's way down the hill.
the closest one is beside the Historical Society.
Right, but that's closer than.
It's not closer than the
No,
Bateman
closer,
parking lot.
no.
The Bateman parking lot is much
No,
closer.
but it's closer than the other spots for the other days that are further past that, is what I'm saying,
Yes.
Ain't much.
Yes,
right?
it is.
Yeah. I mean, it's a little bit closer for right now. Until we get this resolved, I would highly suggest.
I think there's one spot there though.
There are 2
There's only
spots
one
there.
parking spot there for handicap.
I think there's only one.
Used to be 2.
One says no parking here.
The one
and
says
other
no
one
parking.
says handicap. So there's one spot there,
Okay.
and I have a number of handicap people.
So the whole intent of this law is to remove snow to improve the safety of the lot. That's the whole intent of this law, and to be more efficient and to save man hours and dollars to be able to remove it.
And possible insurance claims in the future.
And safety.
Because
right?
we can-
Because
right.
we don't want someone to slip and fall because we couldn't plow that spot because there was a car there.
And to this day, we're talking about less money, and to this day, I have not seen transitional living here once. Because they're not for profit, they bought that, and when they bought that, this village lost $7,000 a year in money used to take care of that lot. Yep. And I'm sure they wouldn't be happy if we would plow it out first thing in the morning. I have my own opinion that the places behind that building we should probably do last, not where you are, but take care of the taxpayers first.
Right.
Because every time you turn around, you have another not-for-profit that the village has to take care of, and you ask the residents and the taxpayers, which Bateman is one of the taxpayers, to pay for. It's challenging their assessment.
May I ask for another public comment? Go ahead.
I've been talking to some of these people that are parking in these parking lots. Some are saying they can't. They think they can't park there year round. Way the signs are. I've been looking at state codes for signs. The information that needs to be on there needs to, because right now, way I've been talking to some people outside of Lewis County, saying tickets cannot be issued with the wrong information not being on there. So if it says for the winter time, that the month has to be on there.
It's all year round. It's all year.
Why is that?
For sweeping operations.
So that we can
and the
sweep
like.
sand, so that we can come in and,
Then people are saying they're not getting tickets at that time. Now they're getting tickets.
right, because we had the signs up for a period of time, let people notice them, let people check them out. We didn't hear anything. We started enforcing it because snow started coming, and that's when we have an issue. But the signs have been up since, I'm going to say, June, probably. And it's designated, it's for all year round, because we don't just wish to maintain that parking lot in the winter. We also wish to be able to clean the parking lot, to fill in holes here and there. That's very hard to do when you have cars, scattered everywhere.
Right.
All right.
I'm
But
sorry.
Can you imagine if you, in your own home, had to, every other day of your life, remember, oh, gotta park over there today, oh, gotta move it over here tomorrow, oh, gotta go back over there today.
I lived in Boston for 5 years going to college, and yes, because there's an even side of the street and an odd side of the street.
Yeah, I guess
And that happens every day of the month. There's an even side of the street and an odd side of the street.
Probably for
and-
the same reason.
And
The
you will
village
get your
will take
ticket,
my parking
yes,
lot
you will
and
get
put
your
that-
car
And you will get your
towed.
ticket, and you will get your.
It's not just a ticket, you're towed, and you gotta figure out, they give you a list of 9 tow truck agencies, and you gotta figure out where your car is. And it usually is a minimum of, why do I know so much about this?
We don't live there.
Luckily,
It's an-
this is Lowville, not Boston.
Minimum of a couple $100 to get your car out of the pound, whether it was there for a day or 2 hours, or it doesn't matter. It's a nice little. So, and that's why, is because that's where the street sweepers cleaning, that's part of that.
We had pretty effective snow removal last year without this.
Right, but when we back into a car here and there and we,
I don't remember that happening at all, ever.
You can't compare one winter to another winter.
Well,
Did
this
we-
is
did we
my
have this-
third winter in the
did-
last 2 that I've
Did we
been there.
have this much snow in December last
just a minute,
December?
Mike, the
I don't
gentleman
think so.
right behind you first.
No, we didn't have this much, you're right. But I just remember thinking it was pretty effective.
I will say that the years that I've parked out there in the winter, it is a boondoggle. You've got cars snowed in, or you can't get
Yeah.
around cars. It is a boondoggle.
You won't have that anymore though, with this law.
No, I
You might have it
understand.
one day.
I understand the intent of the law was to make it better for everybody back there and for safety. I understand that. And I guess we're gonna have to live with it until we can tweak it, that's all. We'll have to work on it and tweak it.
Go ahead.
So, from what I understood in this conversation right here, then, everything remains the same, but at some point, someone's going to address this later on.
We have to, no, that's not true. So by law, because it is currently a law in our books, we have to have a public hearing to change the law. We then have to have, we have to have a public hearing to change the law. To do that, we have to present the law at a board meeting. So the next meeting that we have, if we can figure out how to change this to suit the DPW and other residents and users of the parking lot, we can figure out what that neutral ground might be. At that meeting, we have to set up a public hearing. We have to have how many days for public hearing notice?
5, not counting the day it's published.
Okay. We typically do a minimum of 2 weeks to make sure that it's in the paper. We could hold a special meeting, which would be just for that purpose, technically. We currently have monthly board meetings, so it would be the next meeting would be to try and figure out and propose a new parking arrangement, set the public hearing for the next board meeting, and then file the state within a week would be a new law. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
Yeah, it makes sense. But I question the tickets that have been written so far. Tickets written without, to me, which would be the authorization to write a ticket needs a reasonable cause. If it isn't snowing, and it's 3 in the morning, and it's November, why would I get a parking ticket instead of a warning? If a police department was getting people in the frame of mind to follow this, seeing as how there is no from date to date on any of the signs that we are addressing in this meeting.
Correct.
Why would I get a ticket?
Because we started enforcing it.
What's the reasonable cause behind the ticket? There's nothing on that sign that says November 1st to May 1st.
Correct. Well, we could have started giving tickets in June. We thought that we would let people recognize the signage and they would figure it out on their own and they would figure out when they were supposed to park, where they were supposed to park. Did you notice the new signs that went up?
I parked there all summer without notice or warning on my windshield.
But did you see the
Until I come up with
signage?
a ticket.
Right, but you saw the signage though. You noticed that there were new signs in the entire parking lot. You chose not to park where the sign said to park. That would have been your choice. No, we did not hand out warnings, and I apologize, but we left a period of time for people to adjust.
That's when I got my ticket, was the first time it snowed, and it was on a Monday. And we weren't supposed to park there Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. I did not realize that the signs down there says Tuesday, Thursday, and Saturday. Until I had to go all the way down there to see it. Why wasn't anything sent to the fact that lot 1 and lot 2, different days? You know, I mean, it would have solved a lot of tickets, that's for sure.
Right.
And I'd like to know, why can't we have 3 handicap parkings in the back of the pavement? Like closer to your businesses, closer to where we live. I mean, you've got a lot of businesses across the street. And there's a lot of people that are handicapped that walks all the way over there. And one lady, I was there when it happened, and she fell, and she had a cane. And the ambulance had to come and take her away. She broke her hip. Why couldn't she have had a closer place to park so she could walk better?
Right. By law, we have so many parking spots, and Tom, you might know this better than I do. So many parking spots that you have in your lot, you're required to have so many handicap spots. And I think that we actually exceed that in the entire parking area. But I don't know what that is. Do you know?
There's a threshold. you have between 0 and 50 parking spaces, you have to have a certain number of, and I'm just using numbers, you have to have a certain percentage. So we created, I think, 8 or 9 spots that were accessible. And ma'am, I hear your pain about, I would love to put ADA compliant parking spaces behind the Bateman. It's too steep.
So how many are you allowed to have in a parking?
So that's a whole parking area, and there's a threshold. If you have this many spots, you have to have this many ADA accessible, and you have to put them as close as you possibly can to the facility. But it has to meet ADA guidelines. It's too steep behind the Bateman to meet ADA guidelines. You get out of your car and you're trying to get into a chair, it has to be flat. It can't have any pitch. If there's any slope, imagine trying to get into your chair and it slides, it rolls away.
Oh, I realize.
That is why those spots are down in the flattest area of that parking lot. And I know it's not convenient for those of you that live.
But you
in the
have a
Bateman.
flat area over by where all them cars are parked, and that is a flat area.
Are you talking about down on the left-hand
Yeah.
side, Carol,
Yes.
over by the movie theater?
Right.
We don't own that.
That's just, I believe the area you're looking at belongs to Historical Society.
Pardon
No,
me?
I think she's talking about if you were to come down the alleyway and go down the hill to your left, that row right there, it does flatten out at the bottom. I think that's where you're talking about.
Yes.
That's, yeah.
It would be almost behind Gary's.
By
Almost
where
behind
people walk
Gary's
up through
restaurant.
next to the movie theater.
Yes.
And that is a flat area.
You still have to walk all the way up that hill.
Well, I gotta walk up
That's
that hill now.
the
So
cheapest
what's the
way
difference?
out.
You gotta walk up that hill where that handicap is. I don't have a problem walking up that hill in the summer, spring, except I have to stop and rest. But the winter time is the worst for me because I can't breathe when it's cold weather.
Right,
And I can't help it.
right.
And I have to have my car. I also have cancer and I have to go to Buffalo back and forth. So
Right.
I need my car.
Right. Absolutely. Well, we don't want people to have to live without a car.
Right.
It is very
I'm not gonna
convenient
give
to
up
have
my
a car if you can afford to have a car. So, I'm wondering if we can look at this lot. The other thing too, I just wanted to add, you know, before we would plow where people drive and salt and sand. This way we can actually plow even where people park and salt and sand. You know, it should make it a safer area. But what I would propose is kind of going back to the drawing board a little bit, or some of us look at the map or the Google Earth of this parking lot and see what different things we could propose to rectify this for the future. See if we can determine any different areas that possibly handicap could be placed in a zone. You know, if we can do half and half. We do also, there is also parking kind of in the center of that we do not own and we have no jurisdiction over. That's maybe 10 spots, maybe. So it's, you know, it's, yeah.
I think I looked at the map, and that's sort of behind the historical.
Yeah.
Society.
No, I know.
Yeah. There's some very random spots, but there's also supposed to be, in all of this parking area, there's supposed to be a right-of-way for people to get in and out with the old property maps and so on and so forth. So there are areas where people do park that is not actually a parking spot as well.
Right.
So, you know. I said, do you mind if I take Mike real quick?
I have a question.
Yes, Mike.
And the village limit signs, it says no parking at any street from April 1st to November 1st, or whatever it says. But that's wrong, because I know two people that live in Cable Street. They got parking tickets. I know somebody that lived on DeWitt Street that didn't get a parking ticket. So the cops are signaling people out, like in our parking lot, and it's not right. Because I know a guy that lives on Collins Street, he got 2 parking tickets. I used to work with the guy, my former boss at Kenny's. He got 2 parking tickets. He was mad. And he talked to somebody that lived in Jackson Street that did not get a parking ticket. And when I went to work, I walked down State Street one day and I saw a village cop go by. He went by and there was 2 cars parked over by Baker's. They did not get no tickets.
Well, it's from the hours of.
And people always park in that handicap parking spot in front of Sensations that does not got parking tickets. They do not get tickets on them. And it's not right. The cops are just singling people out left and right, and it's not right. It's harassment. It's biased and it's not right. The law has to be fair for everybody across the board. Parking, no parking.
Right.
That's right in the thing.
Yep.
People ain't supposed to block sidewalks with cars, and they do it all the time. I went to work one day, so we had the car, the back end of it sticking out on State Street, and I walked down the sidewalk one day, and I fell that shit when everyone got hurt.
Yep.
And the cops did not give the people a ticket. I flagged the cop down, he didn't even come back, he didn't even care. He saw me fall, he didn't come back, he didn't care. I went to work, my arm almost broke, nobody cared. So the law's gonna be changed. It's gotta be equal across the board, because I hear people all the time in Kenny's crabbing because parking tickets. People in my building get singled out. People parking out that live above jobs do not get tickets.
Yeah.
So
everybody who's parking in those
sit there and
locations
say
should
that
be.
that's not discrimination, because that is discrimination.
Yep. From 3 to 6 a.m. is when there's no parking on the street
but
as
she got
well.
on video where 3 people parked there, because I showed her on the video where a cop the other day gave 2 people in our parking lot a ticket, 3 cars on the other side over there did not get tickets, and those people live above jobs. So obviously,
That's
it's right on video, she has it, because I called her, told her that day on the phone, I left a message and told her. Because I looked at the building and saw the cop give 2 people tickets that lived in our apartment building at the basement.
I'm sure that will be very clearly relayed back to our police department.
It was right on video. She has it right on video.
She's got it.
Yep. Sam?
So it's not right. People live in streets don't get tickets, and other people get tickets. Other people block sidewalks and don't get tickets. People are supposed to have sidewalk shovels and they don't. People should enforce the law. If they're going to enforce the law, enforce the law. I went to work yesterday, and my phone got hurt. I hurt myself over by Community Bank. Sidewalk was insulted.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you.
So, like I said, if there's going to be a parking law, they got to be equal across the board, because people on certain streets are getting ticketed and other people ain't.
Yep.
I think the cops are doing it because of people's last name or something. That's what people are saying around town.
Yeah, and that shouldn't be the case, and that's.
You ask Eric. Eric, I'm sure people say it, because he told me that. I even told him that, because he was running for a thing for legislature, and I told him that if he got voted in, I told him I was going to help him. I told him.
If you know anyone on this board, I think that we're all under the I shouldn't say assumption. We're all under the feeling that it doesn't matter who you are.
Sure it does. If you got certain names, you don't get tickets.
No, hold on. I certainly do not feel that way. And I know many other members on this board do not feel that way. We feel if I litter out my car, I should get a ticket. It doesn't matter who I am. That's my thought. That's my feeling. And that's how it should be. And your point is very well taken. I understand your frustration. I'm sure that Chief will go back and relay this complaint and these concerns to his police department and be sure that that is not how things move forward. So, thank you, Mike.
2-hour parking, right? Or is it 3-hour parking? People park there all day and they don't get tickets. I know 3 people that park by Cafe Z, parks at the Circus that parks there all day and they do not get tickets. Other people park there and get tickets. So
I understand.
Enforce the law. It's got to be fair for everybody across the board, because certain people get tickets and certain people don't.
Correct.
And even Eric will tell you, because he's seen people get tickets.
Yep.
I'll walk in.
Could I take another comment, Mike? Would that be all right?
Yes.
Do you have something else?
Just to finish this then, listening to what's transpired so far, Local Law 5 from December 16th of last year was written to clarify and make more efficient. Again, from what I hear talked about on this board, you folks are very clear about what you have to follow, what rules you have to follow. The signs that you posted do not clearly state when you are not allowed to park in those spots. That's all I have.
Dave?
Am I incorrect by making a statement that as you enter the village of Lowville, the speed limit signs also have a sign that states no parking in village streets from 3 o'clock in the morning to 6 o'clock in the morning?
On all entrances coming into the village, yes, because we just updated that because we moved it from 2 a.m. to 3 a.m.
So technically, that's the warning. That's how I read that. If I drive into town, I have been told, boom, right there at the sign, that that's what's going to happen. My car is parked in the wrong spot, and I know I'm going to get a ticket, but I take the chance. But as you come into the village, it says no parking on village streets from this time to this time on 1 November to 1 April.
May I say something?
Yes, Charlie.
As someone who obviously walks with a cane as well, there's a huge difference between having to go 20 feet and 200 feet. And we have got to make that change so that they do not have to go 200 feet to get to their home. We're not talking about parking on a street. We're talking about parking at someone's home.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a huge difference. We still also have to move the snow, but in this particular case, I believe we have got to make the change that we're talking about, and to get it on paper and get it started so that we can get it taken care of as soon as possible. It may already be too late for this winter, but there are many winters, because we live in Lowville, there are many winters ahead of us all. And if we can get this thing fixed as soon as possible, it'll make life a little better for these folks. It's their home. It's not, they're not parking on the street somewhere.
I don't disagree.
Mayor?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything that could be done with a bypass from South State Street to Shady Ave? All she got is 3 stop signs. One that goes out on Shady Ave, which you gotta take a right, and then one behind the Commons and one at the end of Bateman parking lot or the whole village. People fly through there, and they cut across, and they don't even care if you're on the side or nothing.
You mean through that parking lot in
Yeah,
general?
they cut through there and then, or else they'll cut through and go out on Shady Ave right behind the Bateman. And they're not flying, but they're sure not going 10 or 15 miles an hour. Now, like Carol, she was walking down slowly with a cane or something, and this dude come flying through, male or female. She couldn't get out of the way.
Right.
I think it should be yield to pedestrians and maybe put a speed limit. And I know it's probably not no different than a parking lot at Walmart or Tops, but this is a bypass.
I'm always
why can't you put up even drive slow or, and then they have the village cops sit there and watch them.
Please use caution or something. I'll tell you, it's funny that you say that because there are some turns in that parking lot. If I am, let's say, going to the movies, and even if I'm coming out, I'm afraid. I just edge my car up little by little because people do, and I'm afraid to, even though I've come to that stop, but to turn, you're not always necessarily in your side of the lane, and people don't always realize that there might be another car coming. I always kind of peek around. My kid's like, Mom, just go. I'm like, no, I'm not going to just go because I want my vehicle to drive tomorrow, But yeah.
And some do not stop.
Maybe that would be something else, just caution signs.
When you have a stop sign at one side And then over right behind the telephone company, there's no stop sign, but that goes by into the bypass.
Right.
That don't make sense.
So let us do a little work here and see what we can come up with. Thank you all for coming, really. I appreciate it. Obviously it's affected your lives more than we realized it would. We have this community parking lot to support our downtown, whether it's our residents or our businesses. I think we all are in firm agreement on that. And let us go back to the drawing board. I will notify your office when we might have a proposal.
Thank you.
You know, and maybe even run it by you and see what you think. And if we can have a week or two to be able to get that specifically to you or to reach out to you, that would be great. Maybe the first week of January. Yep, I have your card right on my desk.
You have it?
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Okay. And we'll go from there. But obviously we did not intend to negatively affect our residents. We really intended to be able to really clear an area, salt and sand an area, making it even easier if people were to get in and out of their vehicles and so on and so forth. So, you know, and even repainting some of the parking spaces, you know, because nobody should be parked there at a certain time. You know, that would be something else that we could do in the summer with this new law in effect, is actually maintain or seal cracks that are happening so they don't turn into potholes and different things like that. So it's not just snow removal, it's really to be able to get in and clean and do maintenance as we need to do it. So, but I really thank you all for coming, and certainly
Thank you
welcome
for
to reach
listening
out.
to us.